Who do you want to go down?
Lecce.
I think I want Lecce too. Yeah,
I fucking hate Lecce.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Lecce either.
Ciao, paisans! Ciao, paisans! Welcome back to another magnificent episode of all your favorite Serie and Italian soccer podcasts. Calcio Culture is back 2 weeks in a row, paisans. We're here for you. This is why we do it. We are here to stay. Matchweek 26 just wrapped up, and it was a crazy weekend. Lots of teams at the top dropping points. Some mid-table teams actually making a push into that top 10. We'll see what that means for the rest of the season. We've also got a little bit of coverage across Europe as the Serie A constituents rounded out their attempt at continuing further down the tournament. I am your host today, Logs. I'm here with both my co-hosts once again, Bose and Motts. Motts, I'll kick it to you, brother. Tough weekend for us.
I'm just used to it at this point, man. It doesn't, I just expect, although I will say I was expecting better performances because I became accustomed to that with Spalletti. Now at this point, we're just back to where we were. We have officially reverted back to the mean of Juventus, and I'm just prepared for it at this point. I don't expect anything different. Hurts though every time.
I mean, this weekend was an all-time low for Juve. I would say low of this year, actually, not all-time low, because there were some lows over the last 2 years.
Yeah,
this was a low.
Are you calling the bottom?
No,
what?
It's not the bottom. They've already hit the bottom. They've bounced from the bottom.
No, we might be at the bottom now. This is the low at this point in the season. This is the lowest point total we've had since a very, very long time. Like I saw a tweet, and it went all the way. It might have been. It went all the way back up until Allegri's last leg at the 2.0, and then it went Sarri, Pirlo, and then all the other managers. And this has been the last one since then. So that must have been 2018, 19 around. Not that we weren't bad that season. I'm saying this has been the lowest since
the least point total at this point in the season in 10 years, basically. At least 10 years.
Longer than that. Way
that's
longer
crazy.
Than that. Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, plenty of time to get
bottom.
Plenty of time to get into that. Paisans today got a quick roundup of European.
You're not going to ask how I'm doing?
No, you already.
Well, hang on. Well, thanks for asking me how I'm doing, because I have a question for you guys. I was thinking about this before I hopped on here. Inter now 10 points clear.
Why do you you took the opportunity to tell me how you're doing by just shoving in my face?
No, so the reason I want to ask this is, I guess in a power rankings kind of way, but I was thinking about this a couple days ago. If the season just ended today and then restarted right now, how would you rank the top, let's say top 8? I think without question, Inter's still your number one, right? I don't think there's really debate there. And the reason I think this is interesting is there's a real top 4 race right now. And I think when you think about it through this lens of who's the best right now, it could actually end up that way. Atalanta's in the mix. Everybody's in the mix. So I'm just curious what you guys think.
I'm confused on what the question is.
So it's basically power ranking. If the season ended right now and restarted tomorrow, who would you how would you have your top?
Everyone's
let's say
at
top
0.
8. Yeah, everybody's at 0, but it starts right now. On form, everybody's at 0 points. How would you rank your top 8?
You gotta have Inter at the top.
Inter, probably Atalanta.
Yeah,
second.
I would agree. That's really what made me think about this, because I think Atalanta's too. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say probably
Milan,
if we're going off
3
just
for me.
form right now.
I think Como has a shout to go third.
Yeah, let's do top 6. Let's just do top 6 to make this clean.
Yeah, I think Inter, Atalanta, Como have a shout there, just because I don't think that Milan has looked that good, but we still were getting results.
Right.
I'd say Milan at 4th, and then you've got a hodgepodge of Napoli,
Roma
who just
Napoli.
lost to Atalanta, Roma, who just had probably their best win of the season, and Juve, who...
No, Juve's not in it.
I would say then Napoli, Roma, Juve.
So
Juve
top
are
7.
in a class with Bologna and Lazio right now.
That's wild.
In terms of form.
That's wild.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting for the race, because, Milan's on 54 points in second place, and then 6th place, obviously, there's a lot to be made up, but Como on 45, so 9 points there. This could be made up, and Atalanta is tied now, which is insane.
Atalanta has shown that it can be made up. They were, I would say,
insane.
10 match weeks ago, we were talking finishing 7th for them would be a win. They're in 7th, 1 point behind 5th, 5 points behind 4th. They fully can keep up this momentum. They could finish in the top 4 again. So
and I would say they're the hottest if not second hottest.
Inter's the hottest. But so to your point, for a team like Juventus, it can be turned around still with at least 11, I think 12 match weeks to go. But every game matters is heightened now with Como on their heels, with Atalanta on their heels. So this top 4 race is pending on what Juventus can do, because right now they're trending outside of the race. Could be a top 7 race. It could be 7 teams in this top 4 race.
Yeah, I agree. Insane.
That'd be sweet.
Moving on though. Get going on the real thing here. Stuff going on this week.
Other
things going on this week. You got it, Lokes?
Go ahead.
Your delivery has been a little subpar. So quickly before we get into the match week and things going on this week, European games. We've got Bodo Glimt going to Inter. That is 3-1 on aggregate. Inter's behind. I think Inter come out with that one though.
At home, you'd hope so.
3-0 win at home. Inter at home, it's a different animal.
Well, and Bodo Glimt at home is a different animal.
Yeah, true. Good point. And then we got Dortmund going to Atalanta, 2-0 aggregate there for Dortmund, and then Galatasaray, Juve, 5-2 aggregate. Juve's probably dead.
Hey man, Juve's got a chance, baby. We're home, 3-0, all we need to tie, and then we'll go to PKs.
Were you just giving us a sob story about how bad Juve is right now?
They are. They're bad. I never die of my hope. Confidence is key. That's what my girlfriend tells me.
All right, Europa League, we've got Brann going to Bologna. Bologna won the first leg 1-0. And then in the Conference League, I cannot pronounce who Fiorentina's playing, but they're up 3-0 on aggregate.
Dude, give me your best shot. Give me your best shot.
Jagiellonia, be all stoked.
Not even that bad, dude. I am glad that you took the reins from me right there, because I was going to totally botch whatever you were trying to get at with this. I totally did not know we got back-to-back Champions League this week.
Yeah.
They went back-to-back weeks. Did not know that.
Yeah. You
fully uninformed.
You generally don't do good with things. But question for you guys, because this has been a huge topic, I think, across world football, and it's kind of tough from our perspective as Serie A people. But why do you guys think generally that the Italian teams have done so poorly in Europe?
Got me on the spot. I mean, it's a different ball game. I think that the ability to change your play style in Champions League really plays in your favor if you're adaptable. Serie A teams are not adaptable, but pretty stubborn. Aside from Napoli last year, which is, I think, a difference into this year, which is where they went awry. Everyone plays the way they want to play, no matter who they're playing. Champions League, you got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to figure out who you're playing, know your opponent, and find their weaknesses. That's not what happens in the domestic league. Whoever plays their game the best, usually wins in Serie A. In Champions League, you can't just play one way.
That's a good question. I don't know if I have a good answer to that. I wish they played better. There's always the theory that the Italian teams value the league way more than any other competition. I feel like a couple of years ago, that theory or thought was kind of put to bed. However, since that time that the Serie A had a really good run in the Champions League with a lot of teams at the end stages of it, they haven't kind of done the same, besides maybe Inter. But even now, Inter is playing bad. So I don't really know if I have an answer to that. It's frustrating because I do believe we are the best league in out of all top 5 European leagues. But the Achilles heel or the Prem people will always just revert to, okay, well, if so, then how come you never do well in the Champions League? Then the other part I would say would be just, and I'd be like a dead horse and Logs might get mad. If you go ahead and just look at the wage bills,
not the fucking
even Juventus and Inter, we are lower than every team. We're like your villains, Logan, are probably have a bigger wage bill than Inter and Juventus. So there is a side of the argument where it's like they just have more money to pay players more money and to pay for better players than the Serie A, but that's still no excuse. You got it. Like example A is Atalanta, Dortmund. I would like to see better. Inter, Bodo Glimt, like that's bad. So I don't know if there's a real answer. Those would be my 2 thoughts, but definitely need better from the Serie A teams in the European competitions, or at least the Champions League.
I mean, listen, the other thing here is that, so we had 3 teams go to the knockout stage for the Champions League. They all played their first game away here. And from my opinion, you look at those 3 teams, like Bodo Glimt has shown that them playing at home is insanity, incredibly hard. Dortmund, we all know the Iduna is incredibly difficult to play with the yellow wall. And Galatasaray in Turkey, they're fucking nutcases.
Always hard.
They're really hard to play
at. Points, Logs.
You look at Bologna and Fiorentina, I guess you could say we're Europa and Conference League merchants, but both win at home. So I'd love to reserve my opinion and my take again.
That's fair.
Until this week comes to fruition. Unless
fair.
Juve loses 5-2 again at the Allianz, I think it's gonna be a different story.
That could happen.
Could
but I
happen.
like that take a lot, Logs. I like that take a lot.
Really quickly, I guess my opinion's just like thinking about it from a different perspective. Like Inter has done exceptionally well, right? And before Inter was doing extremely well, it was Juve doing extremely well. And I would probably say the difference between Serie A and a lot of these other leagues is just there's been so much instability in terms of like the really big clubs. Like Roma, relatively new ownership group. Napoli had so many issues. Like even with winning these Scudettos with ADL, there's been so many issues there. Milan has had multiple ownership groups now, ton of manager problems. And like when you look at that as like the teams that you expect to go far with that instability, it's tough. And then when you go beyond that, though, when you go to the Europa League and Conference League, they've been extremely successful. Like we've been in Conference League finals, in Europa League finals, and when you look at it like that, most of those clubs have been stable. They're just not at the Champions League caliber level. So I think we're getting there with some of these ownership groups and some of these teams, but I just think it's like in the short term, it's been so much instability in from the major clubs in Serie A that they're still building to get up there.
It's not a
That's
bad
fair
thought.
as well.
It's not a bad thought. But I would reserve it to the end of the season here. It's not over. It's not over till the fat lady
it's not
sings.
over. No, I agree with you. I mean, Inter could very well be in the final here pretty soon. And I think that there will be a Serie A team in the final of the Europa League. Pretty confidently. Roma's been lights out in that tournament.
They have been playing really well. Europa League
All
merchants.
right. Serie A, Matchweek 26.
The bread and butter, baby. Come on.
Start with something that's going to make Motts upset. Has to be, I mean, very notable game. Como at Juve, 2-0 win for Como. Goals from Caqueret and Vojvoda on the Como side of things. On the Juve side of things, there's a lot to break down. But before we kind of like jump into that, French Montana before the game, not the time to do it. Like you're not playing like exceptional. Like take a step back, realize who you are. New Jersey's terrible. So double whammy. And then on top of that, one of the worst performances in a very long time.
Does anybody in Turin know who French Montana is? That's the first question I have.
I feel like they definitely do. I mean, people in Italy listen to American songs. We know that firsthand.
I
so
barely know who French
would they not?
Montana is.
All right, let's talk about Juve first, because from Como, it was a good game from them, but it wasn't anything new. Like they just did their thing and Juve allowed them to do their thing. On the Juve side of things, I'll go through the lineup quick just because I don't think we've actually seen all these players together in a bit. But Di Gregorio in goal, Gatti, Kelly, Coop Miners in the back line, McKennie, Locatelli, Thuram, Cambiasso across the middle, and then Moretti, Yildiz, Openda up top. I mean, there's a lot to break down. I mean, the Di Gregorio goal, or the first goal, terrible goalkeeping from Di Gregorio, terrible defending from Coop Miners. That's one point. Offensively, didn't really do anything. Wingback play didn't really, like, nobody did anything good, honestly, is my
that's
takeaway.
fair. I mean, we can start the conversation around Di Gregorio, I think, because he's been hot in the press lately just based off of his performances recently. First goal, unacceptable. He got beat on the near post. It's a pretty far out shot, and he does get his hand to it, but he's not going with enough force, and it ends up in the back of the net. And going back to 2 weeks ago when he allowed an own goal against Inter that he couldn't even, he was like on the right side, but he misstepped and
It was like a bad reaction time.
Terrible reaction. And it's getting to the point now where he's in the, maybe Juventus will sell him, maybe they're moving on. And that's why Juventus is stuck in this rut that they're in, because players underperform and they're quick to move on. They're quick to give up. They're quick to put them to bed. And then they go invest more money in the same position for a player of the same caliber. So Di Gregorio, where his play has not been good, I think you have to ride him out, or at least that's why you have a backup like Perrin. Solid backup, give him a run of games, let Di Gregorio know, hey, you lost your spot, you got to earn it back in practice, things like that. Next up, back line, Gatti, Kelly, Coop Miners cannot be rolled out there. This just, once again, it goes to show how poor our defense is without Bremer. I think Kelly's performances have been decent. He's stepped up. He's definitely proved the fans wrong in that they were mad that Giuntoli got him, but he needs a real titan next to him, and he can't do it with Coop Miners and Kelly. The Coop Miners experience that has to be over. He had a good game against Inter.
League, right?
No, you're right.
Galatasaray,
Against the Champions League, you're right.
Playing in the midfield.
Playing in the midfield at a 4-3-3. So that's his position in the midfield. You got to stop playing him at defense. He can't defend. It was terrible defending. The play, he almost allowed a second goal when he passed it
Yeah,
back.
I mean, the first goal was partially his fault. It was him and Di Gregorio, right? So
yeah, but he didn't
the defending
close down
was
the space.
some of the worst defending I've ever seen.
And he doesn't know how to defend. He doesn't know positioning. And then when you have him behind Cambiaso,
Oh my God.
Cambiaso, his strength is to go forward. You have the left side or the right side is just left side for us, right side for the offense is just holes everywhere.
So on Koopmeiners really quickly, I think this is questions about Spalletti's decision making. In this game, Como's an extremely offensive team. What is the purpose of playing Koopmeiners there when he's already been exposed many times defensively? I don't really understand it.
There's nobody else. Kalulu's
I guess there's nobody else.
He's got a red, and Bremer hurt himself in the Champions League game. So Juan Cabal
is your
maybe
option, right?
But Juan Cabal, I would say he's a better defender, but you're sacrificing play on the ball with center backs, and Koopmeiners at least increases that. But I agree, it's bad, but there's no one else.
I mean, I would have rather see them drop Locatelli in there and then play Koopmeiners in the midfield.
Yeah, but Locatelli's been so good in the midfield lately.
I know, but I mean, this is why you lost at the end of the day. It's largely because Koopmeiners was playing in this game at center back.
And you can play Locatelli at the center back,
right,
and he can still push up when needed. And then the last thing I'll say is Openda. Just he's not it. But Jonathan David doesn't give much more. Openda, he has no link-up play. His first touch is horrendous. He's fast, but he can't run by you because he's offsides every time. His decision-making's bad. He's now played in 23 or 24 Serie A games. He has 2 goals. That's not getting it done. He has also 0 assists. So he's not it. That was a terrible, terrible buy by Comoli because paid $40 million for him, and is basically if we finish up in the top 10, you have to buy him. Not the best buy. And then the last thing I'll say is the one bright spot here is Yildiz, but you can take him out of the game by throwing multiple bodies at him. And when you are the only player that's good going in attack, it's throw 3 bodies on him when he has the ball. No one else makes any runs off the ball. No one else does anything offensively or gives anything. So you can shut him down or kind of take him out of the game by just throwing 3 people on him, and then he can't do anything.
Look, do you have any immediate things, because I have one kind of point I want to discuss at least.
I think it does come down to Spalletti with the decision making. And again, Koopmeiners has to play better. This guy is definitely better at this game than what he showed out in the match.
Is he though? It's been so long. I mean,
Koopmeiners is better than what he put out on the pitch the other day.
I don't know defensively though.
No, but I'm just saying, just in general, he's a better soccer player than what we've seen this season. We know this. My problem though is you are in an incredibly tight race here at the top of the table, where I understand there's injuries, but you got to play into the roster a little bit better here. I know you just talked about, or you talked about the back line, but then I'm even thinking up top, Fabio Moretti's been playing incredibly well in the 2-man midfield. Why is he playing out of position on the right wing? Slightly out of position. He played there well for Genoa last season, but he's been playing incredibly well in the 2-man midfield. You sub him out at halftime anyways for Conceição. Why are we not starting at that point? These are decisions from the start that I think are just mind-boggling from my perspective, and that just sets the whole tone for the whole game. And so as much as you can say that Spalletti has had this new tone, this new look Juve, I don't know that the decision-making is quite there yet. And we saw the same lack of decision-making when he was the Italian national team manager. And so I think that for the longevity of Spalletti in this spot, as much as we've been hot on him, there's definitely holes. There's definitely criticisms to be had, and there's a lot longer runway than I think we thought with this Juve team.
I mean, I would say part of their issue is that they're stuck in this front 3 with wingers, and I don't know if that's correct anymore, and I would like to see at least something else attempted, because we still really haven't seen this year Yildiz playing under Openda and Jonathan David. And going back to the summer, you made those investments in those 2 guys because you believed in them as a club. Why are you forcing Moretti and Conceição constantly into this team when you presumably as a club have decided that Openda and Jonathan David are your 2 best forward options in conjunction with Yildiz? And we're just continually going back to this formation, and you're not getting the most out of your striker. And I guess you're getting the most out of your right wing, but those right wing players shouldn't really be in the team to begin with. So I think something might need to change there. And I would say the other thing is more 4-3-3. Like if you want to stick with wingers, go 4-3-3. Like that's what Spalletti did so well with Napoli. And I don't think this team is that far off from being as good as that Napoli team was. Granted, they need a couple more players, and this team is like player personnel wise is not Juventus.
It's not it.
It's not it, but you have to try to do something. And we've seen Spalletti is wanting to be more forward thinking, offensive, but you also need to start elevating players beyond Yildiz. And obviously Yildiz has been elevated even further under Spalletti, but other guys need to as well. And even if looking in the midfield, yes, Locatelli's been better. Thuram has been pretty much average the whole season and has a green light to start every single game strictly because Coop Miners has been so bad. And that in it of itself is a massive problem. And I think Cambiasso is actually in that same boat. Cambiasso should have been benched 6 months ago, and they just can't.
I 100% agree that Cambiasso has an ultimate green light no matter what. Same with Thuram. Here's the thing, though, right? Look at the rotation. Yes, you could maybe play Coop Miners instead of Thuram, but he's been struggling. No,
Right.
We can't say he hasn't. Moretti, whereas he's had a couple good games in the two-man midfield, I don't think he has the presence to dominate in the two-man midfield. And so then you look at the subs, and you have Adzic. He can't. He can't do that. So you don't have anybody else, and that
other than Weston McKennie.
Yeah, but Weston plays like a wing back, and he plays the number 10, and he plays the striker. And so you look at the subs and the depth, and they're not there. And it goes back to the investments that were made and have been made at the players that are not at the Juve level. And it just continues and continues and continues. So it's hard for Spalletti, but I do agree. Like he needs to just maybe some games you don't play as progressive and you defend. You defend a little bit more than what you're used to or you want to, because that's who you have and that's the lineup that you have. You have to do it, and you maybe try to counterattack a little bit more. But if you just look around at the list, you're not going to play Filip Kostic game in and game out, and that's Cambiasso's sub. You're not going to play Adzic game in and game out, and that would be a sub for Moretti or Thuram. Coop Miners, he just hasn't gotten it done in the two-man midfield. I would give it a try. Why not give it a try? But people have, and he just doesn't get it done. There's a lot of problems. Spalletti has to bounce back quick because, number one, his contract depends on top four. I would keep him even if we don't finish top four. But number two, we know the Juve culture, and that is if you don't perform, you're out. And just moving on from Spalletti to find another coach, we would be in the same exact position. There's only so much that a coach or a manager can get out of these guys in this depth. And I think Spalletti's done a great job. We're in two competitions, the Champions League. We don't have the depth, the players. So there's a lot working against him. And so you shouldn't fire him to then move on to someone that's not as proven. You saw the instant impact that he's had. Give him time. It would suck if we don't finish in Champions League spot, but I've been saying this for almost 2 years now. And honestly might be the best case scenario for Juventus to not finish in a Champions League spot. And they figure out next season with young players that they've developed in their Primavera system instead of selling them. And they maybe have to part ways with some of these bigger names because they buy for winning the Scudetto next season and it never pans out that way. And it just hinders them year in and year out.
That sounds like a really bad outlook to me. That just sounds so horrid.
No, I mean, to Motts' point, though, it's almost like the management team needs to not be in a European competition to realize we're not who we were 10 years ago.
Or we can't win the Scudetto next season.
You're right. You're not close. You're not even close. Yeah.
And by paying $40 million for Luis Openda to think that this is going to put us there, rather than puts you in the Scudetto conversation for the next 3 seasons, it takes you out of it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not solidifying any area on the field. And I feel like when good teams build, it's like, okay, we're going to solidify our front line, or we're going to solidify our midfield, solidify our defense by just buying 1 or 2 lock 11 guys. Openda and Jonathan David were never going to be lock 11 guys, just inherently in the risk that you're taking with them. And you go to places like Napoli and they took different kind of risks, like Buongiorno, Bucama, obviously hasn't quite panned out, but I would like them to be more decisive in making decisions like that and getting it done early in a window. But
I want to say one more thing, and then I think we should move on. If I'm Spalletti, I'm going into that conversation with Juventus' management and say, this is what I did in a small short of time. You saw the results that I can get and the style of play that the Juventus fans have been screaming and crying for. If you want me to stay, I want, and he picks a center back, a midfielder, and a striker that he knows will excel under him, and you require them to make the investment, or I'm gonna walk. Some other team's gonna want me. We'll spend, and I will succeed there.
Good luck with that.
I would agree with you. Do you guys want to talk about Como quick? Because obviously more of the same from them.
I think
I will say very notably in this one, no Nico Paz. Oh, Jesus Rodriguez did not play. He came off the bench. Sergio Roberto came off the bench. Point being, this wasn't even their best 11. They played Juve off the park. And this whole Como thing is kind of spiraling now where they are very hot. I mean, we talked about at the beginning, they're maybe the third hottest team in the league. And it's kind of insane that they've been able to take over this. And what I will say, they have spent a lot of money, but I would assume their wage bill is not crazy. I don't know immediately off the top of my head. But I think things like this go to show if you take risk and pair it with the correct manager, give them time, let ideas play out, this is what you can do. And you can get further. Like your sum of your parts is greater than like one individual. And I think this approach is very much showing that. And they're probably going to be in a European competition next year, right? And the way they've built this team, it's extremely deep. And if they're in the Conference League or the Europa League, are they going to win it? Like, realistically?
Well, it depends on like next season. Obviously, Nico Paz might not be there,
right? That's true.
Because Real Madrid have been saying we're going to take him back, obviously. But to your point, Bose, this goes to show like if we have a manager that we believe in and we give him time to coach young players, hold them the way he wants, teach them his system, they're going to learn it, and then it becomes if no matter where I'm at, I know where to be. It doesn't matter who's playing. They all understand where their teammates are going to be, where they're supposed to be, and you're giving them time to develop, to learn, and then you can win games. Now, obviously, they have one competition, but that's the benefit of having one competition, having young players, and giving them a leash to learn. And that's what not a lot of teams in the Serie A do, is invest in young players and give them leashes. They all want to win right away. The benefit of Como is they just got promoted 2 years ago. So Como finishing in 10th is a good thing, right? Whereas maybe like a team like Juventus, them finishing in 10th is a horrific result. But what I'm trying to say is just allowing a manager time to teach his players a system, a style of play, and then for the management team to understand, let's take his opinion into consideration and go invest in the players that he wants. It works because he can identify the players that he wants, and it works in the system.
And one step further in Lokes, I'll let you go next. But this is such like Juve's the obvious comparison right now because they just played. Talk about being aligned as a club from ownership through recruitment director, through coach, and then through players. Like they have a way they want to play. And then they identify players that fit that actual system of play, even if they're not the best player at the position. And if you go at Juve, and again, like the obvious example is Openda and Jonathan David. If you're buying them, why are you buying them? And I don't think anybody at Juve can answer that question. The answer is probably, we think they're good players. But like, how are you trying to play? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Like in Inter Milan have that. Atalanta under Gasperini had that. Even Lazio under Maurizio Sarri had that. And they got to second place. Atalanta got to third place. Atalanta won a Europa League. Like that.
Napoli last year had that.
Yeah, and that is so important. I think we're also seeing that with Roma now. They don't really know what they are, and they recruited all these different players that don't gel together. And Lugs, I'm going to go to you.
No, I'm saying Milan as well finally started doing that this year.
Buying
players for Allegri this year.
Yes, 100%. And I think it's hard. It's hard for somebody like Juve, I guess. And I don't want to go back to Juve, but I just think that this shows there's a way of being successful apart from just splashing the cash on the sexy name. Like in Man City,
on the name that you think will get them to win this. Like that's what they do. Juventus looks at it with a 1-year window. Como's looking at this with a 5-year window. This is how we want to build. And just to kind of reiterate your point here, Bose. Juventus's wage bill is 123 million. Como's is 47.8. You watched that game on Saturday morning. You would have thought it was the other way around. And Como had a lot of their bench guys in that aren't making that much money, and they look like we are a team with players that are being paid 123 million, because Juventus buy players for the name and something that they've done in the past, and then they don't have a vision or an idea or style of play, and they just think that the name will work or will win them games, and it doesn't work that way.
I don't have much to say. I love the little lads. I mean, you guys covered it all. I'm not gonna harp on it. Como is just really good. Motts' point, they have the luxury of having just been promoted last year, overachieving last year, even with still a 5-year outlook. Again, making the right purchases this year, still overachieving, still outperforming what the expectation was, and even still, they're not even remotely close to what they want their finished product to be. But they are taking it stride by stride. The ownership is not in a hurry to get that hardware. And I think in the long run, that's certainly going to play out for them. And just don't have the luxury of waiting for players to play out and develop. That's not something that they're in the business of. And we'll see, talk to me in 5 years when Como's at the top of the league and Juventus might be getting relegated.
Yeah, well, I will say one last part about Como that I did say when this podcast first started and was created, they now have the richest ownership in the league. Like, they are the richest club. They obviously can't spend it right away because of financial fair play and things, and they need to, but they're spending it as they can to allow them to finish in European competitions, to get cash, and then spend more. They're trying to build this team to become a place where top of the line players want to come to, rather than just being a feeder team as they are now. But these are the necessary steps. And it's beautiful to see. It's great for the league. And Como's going to be here a while.
We'll see. Hopefully. I love them. I think I might have to replace them as my Gumar, because Fiorentina's ass and Como's not.
We jumping ship.
Might have to.
All right, next game. Anything else on Como or Juve?
Nah, big. This is a big game. This was a big game. This next one.
Yeah, Logs, intro it since you've been bored here.
Listen, I didn't. I'll hand up. Did not watch Juve Como. I was not part of that game this week. I just woke up to Motts' text crying in my phone. But Atalanta Napoli was an absolute, I would say, thriller. I thought it was a good game. I thought Napoli had so many chances to run away with this, and Atalanta just kept fighting, clawing back. Scoreline here was 2-1. Bukema opened up the scoring for Napoli with one of the worst set piece defenses I've ever watched with my bare eyes. I mean, if I said this before the pod, if I'm Carnesecchi, I'm calling for every one of my center backs' heads, because that was ridiculous. Napoli had 3 guys unmarked in the middle of the 6. Either one of them could have had the header. It was a clear goal. So great job by Napoli. Horrible stuff by Atalanta. But on the Atalanta side, Marco Pasalic comes in. We've been talking about him as a Swiss Army knife all season long. He's doing it all over the pitch. He's getting back on defense, box to box, scoring goals, having assists. Guys having a great season. And then somebody who's gone unloved, but is definitely a friend of the pod with Samardzic, puts in the winning goal and gets Atalanta those 3 points. Big 3 points against the Napoli, who are still thinking that they're in the title race. But I don't know anymore.
They're definitely not in the title race anymore.
No, I don't think so. But they want to be. They want to think they are.
Yeah, I think the title race is over. This is Palladino again, honestly. Rotated the shit out of the squad. Yep. He's got Champions League, a huge Champions League game that he's going to try to win. So he changes up everything. I mean, Scalvini, Hien, Kalashnik. I don't remember the last time I saw Hien start a Serie A game to begin with. Then Bellanova and Zappacosta takes out Spernasconi. Bellanova plays 60 minutes, gets rest. No Ederson in this game. CDK out. So you're front, and no Scamacca off the bench. So you have Sulemana, Kursovic, Zaluski, and he's either identifying I need to rest players, or he's identifying I need to get more defensive players on the field. But it worked again. And this was a relatively cagey game. There weren't a ton of chances. The XG for both teams ended up being right around 1. And I think this goes to show again that Palladino has a plan for every team he plays. He is going to change the lineup. He's going to change the methodology and how they're going to create chances. And he's okay with that. He has a general system in his head. And we saw this time and time again at Fiorentina, and now we're seeing it time and time again with Atalanta. He can beat the shit out of bad teams, and he can keep up with the good teams. And he probably approached this game as, if we get a draw, that's fine. They just ended up getting a late winner. So, I mean, I think this guy is arguably going to be the best Italian coach in the league in probably 1 to 2 years. Everything we've seen from him has been outstanding, and he's getting a lot out of a lot of good players, or a lot of decent players in this Atalanta team. And again, continuing to rotate the squad like a very experienced manager. And in the grand scheme of things, he is a very, very new manager. And to be this good at this point is pretty insane.
Yeah, no, he's successful everywhere he goes. And to your point, in terms of the rotation, yes, Atalanta, they have some decent depth. But like going back to looking at the Dortmund lineup, he had some big names in there, but he also rested knowing he has the Napoli game up coming soon. And then you look at the Napoli this lineup, and it's like I got some big pillars in here, but I know I'm down 2-0 in the Champions League coming up. So the way that he balances team is very, very impressive, in my opinion. And then in terms of what you just said, he has won at every single place he's been at. Monza, Fiorentina. Now he's had an instant impact at Atalanta. And I think we need to quickly highlight like how big of an impact he has had at Atalanta. These guys are 1 point or 4 points out of fourth place, 1 point out of fifth place, and they were in 12th or 13th before he got there.
We
And
were on here saying a successful season would be finishing above 10th place.
and they can easily finish in fourth place, and I even say as high as third place. Second place right now is a little farther because they're 9 points away, but being 5 points out of third in the form that they're in, they can easily go get 2 goals at home against Dortmund to advance in the Champions League as well. There's like Atalanta made a great decision sacking Juric, getting Palladino. Palladino is an amazing manager. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that the Paisans understand this. Like, it's not having depth doesn't equal having the right lineup on every single match day, right? There have been so many great managers with
Inzaghi. Inzaghi could never
with 2
balance
full
that.
lineups between their starting 11 and people and guys on the bench, and they were not able to manage that. And Palladino is taking the helm here, taking the reins of Atalanta in multiple competitions, and has done it with grace and just beautifully managed. He's making it look like he's been doing this for season on season on season. Now, obviously, had the opportunity to go 3 competitions with Fiorentina last year. Those 3 competitions, it's just not the same. Going from expecting to be, an 8th, 9th, 10th place team in Serie A, playing in the Conference League, getting to maybe the quarterfinals in the Copa, versus going for top 4, being in the Champions League and having a chance to get to the next stage there, and definitely looking to be a winner of the Copa. That's a very different situation. He's taken it on with such confidence. He's won over these guys very quickly, so clearly just a guy's guy. And I think that just bodes well, not only for him and his career, but I think the combination of them and being the guy that takes the baton from Gasperini. Like this really keeps Atalanta on track. Guys want to play for Palladino. They understand that if they're not going to stay at Atalanta, at least they can get better under Palladino. And if they are going to stay at Atalanta, they're going to be in the mix for some real competitions and some real hardware. So an unbelievable hire. I think that just he's been able to use the guys even after losing Ademola Lookman in the window, and still being able to be as lethal as they are. I mean, it's been awesome to watch, and I think that that's a name that's here to stay.
I think if they get into the Champions League, Ederson might stay, and if Ederson does stay, and then they add like 1 or 2 starters, this team is going to be horrible to play against next year. Horrible.
They're
already horrible. But I know, but then like if you throw 1 or 2 other guys into this team, it's like, oh my God. It depends who they keep, though. I mean, people are going to try to pick them apart. They're usually okay with selling 1 to 2 guys a year. We'll see what happens. But nothing new. I mean, this has been going on for the last 2 months. They're electric. And I just love that he didn't try to change too much. He took the system that was in place, did a few changes here and there, and like they're good to go. And they've just been absolutely ripping since he showed up.
Yeah,
it's impressive. On the flip side, with Antonio Conte and Napoli, it's so hard to judge him because of all the injuries. Like you look at this Napoli lineup, and the Atalanta lineup is just better, like flat out. Like Napoli's got 3, maybe 4 brand names in this lineup. But what I would say to that is what I didn't love Conte doing in the second half was just total, we're up 1-0, hold on by the skin of our teeth. And this goes to show, like, in a Scudetto season or in a season of the Serie A, momentum is a real thing. Like last season, Napoli probably hold on to this 1-0 lead. They come out of here, or maybe even they get a tie 1-1. But this season, it just hasn't been in the cards for them. They haven't been able to sneak by. They're getting injured. And so the full park the bus, they really showed not a lot of life in the second half. I didn't love to see it, but it really shows like momentum's a real thing. And not to bring it back to Atalanta because I want to stay on Napoli here, but Atalanta, you can see momentum building game in, game out, what they're building over there. Where Napoli, it's a little different. But listen, it's a tough game because it was massive for Napoli, but they have so many injuries that it's hard to fault Conte. But that's my one point was just like he did a little too much defending.
I mean, the other thing is they did have a goal called off from Højlund, and I don't know if you guys had an opinion on that. I thought it was a foul. I was okay with the foul. If it didn't get given, I probably would have also been okay with it. But I mean,
it was a foul. Just like the foul in the Milan game.
Was it? All right.
But no,
Lugs, your opinion? Yeah.
I want to go against you, Motts, on this one because I do think there's something to be said about Conte. And part of it is expectations, right? But you look at last year, and they had one of the best defenses in the entire league, if not the best. They go out and they solidify that with getting Bukema, who again has not had a great season. That's neither here nor there. But to say that the injury woes have really affected that back line, I'm not taking that.
I would disagree with you.
I'll
let you finish.
I'm just not going to take that. I mean, these guys, you have 4 guys rotating over these 3 spots that have been in this league for now a combined 35,000 years. There's no reason that they shouldn't be able to close out a game like that and just walk away with a draw, right? Clearly, the injuries are not helping them in the midfield. Clearly, those injuries are not helping them off the wing. They're desperately missing David Neres, and Højlund is definitely not playing at his best without him. People are talking about Vergara like he's the next coming of Jesus, but he's played all of 3 weeks. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the answer to everything. But the one thing that we've seen pretty consistently through the whole season is that back line, and they've been Swiss cheese. They've been Swiss cheese, and I don't know if that's that we overestimated the talents of Bukema and Buongiorno, and Rahmani has been hurt a little bit in and out of the lineup. Juan Jesus has played
big.
well. But
that's big. Rahmani's big.
But you look at Bukema and you look at Buongiorno, and if you can't bring in 2 of the best center backs from the previous year across the league, then that's Conte. That's Conte doing something wrong. Those guys showed that they are able to play and excel in this league. They were on the team of the seasons, rightfully in the race to be defenseman of the year, and Conte brings them in, pairs them together, and they suck. So who's that really on?
That goes to, and Boz, I'll let you go. I just want to quickly say that does go to the balance of the team.
Yes.
And because McTominay, Zambo, De Bruyne, Lukaku are all out, they can't attack as much as they would like, so they have to defend more, and so then they allow more goals. And Boz, I'll let you go.
I mean, yeah, my thing is on 2 points. So I think one of the biggest losses of the season that we are kind of overlooking with the injury crisis is Zambo. Because I think Zambo offered so much defensively that we kind of took for granted. And like that's what allowed McTominay to get so far forward, is because Zambo covered so much fucking ground. It would just eat up counterattacks, would be in the box defending. So I think that's one thing. The other piece of this that I will put on Antonio Conte is his unwillingness to use Mateus Oliveira makes no sense to me, because last year their best lineup was probably Mateus Oliveira, Rahmani, Di Lorenzo as a back 3. The other thing that worked really well last year was a 3-man midfield, and he's just kind of done away with the 3-man midfield this year for whatever reason, especially with how weakened this team is. I would think let's take an attacker off the field, get another midfielder into the game that can kind of defend a little bit. So I'm going to put that on Antonio Conte. But at the end of the day, this lineup, if you look at it, it's just decimated. I mean, Buongiorno shouldn't be starting. Juan Jesus has actually been the best defender for the team this year. Bukema, I also think, one of them you have to start. But I would say that you have to start Mateus Oliveira. Nobody else has been good enough. Across the middle, it was Gutierrez, Lubaka, Elmes, Mandzukic. One of those guys is your best 11 across the middle. And then up top, Alisson Santos, Rasmus Højlund, and Vergara. I actually thought Alisson Santos was very good in this game. But then you go back to the bench. Who's injured? KDB, Neres, Anguissa, McTominay, Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Spinazzola. What more can you do? Like with that,
Spinazzola played.
He came off the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you're just looking at that, what do you want him?
It's tough. It's tough. But I mean, and that's why I said I don't want to judge him too hard. But like, injuries are a part of the game. you guys, ADL invested a ton of money. He does have the depth to make up for the injuries. I know it's been never ending, but like that you can't use them as an excuse at the end of the day because you need to perform. But listen, I think Conte has done a good job with the injuries. They're still in fourth, right? It's tough, but just looking at the lineup, like you said, Bose, like Napoli started behind in this game already.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been the story of the season. It's been hard to judge Napoli. It's been hard to judge Conte, and like all things considered, third place is pretty damn good. I think the bigger question though is, are they going to be able to maintain the pace with everybody else? Because
one game a week,
everybody else that's hunting here is trending upwards. I would say they're flat, if not downwards, and Juve's also in that same boat. But I mean, at this point in time, I wouldn't be confident to say they're going to be in Europe next year. I mean, they could very easily fall out of this. I think I would be surprised if in their Champions League next year, honestly, at this point.
You'd be surprised if they finish top 4?
I would be surprised. I have no confidence.
They're on one game a week.
So is Como. Then I think Como is going to catch them.
Como love to shoot themselves in the cock, though. So,
and I think Roma is kind of starting to find their form with Daniel Malin.
Listen, I don't hate the take of them maybe not being in the Champions League. What I will say is it does pay to have the DNA of a champion, and KDB has that. All the Napoli players have that. They already understand how to win and win late in the season, and they will be coming back in order to do that. Whereas Como and Atalanta and Gasperini and Fabregas, although they're winning, they're playing hot, they play great soccer, they need to learn how to win. Typically, in order to do that, you fall short the first year, and then the second year, you figure it out. So I can see them holding them off, but I don't think it's a bad shout that, hey, maybe they don't finish in a top 4 spot. But I'm looking at their fixtures coming up, and they have a pretty light road. They play Como, Cremonese, Lazio, who obviously are struggling. Milan's the one tough one, and then they have Cagliari, Lecce, Torino, Verona.
Yeah, but even to take it further than that, Motts, like they've got 12 games left. They have two hard games. They play Milan.
I have no idea what schedule. The schedule you just said is just not right.
No, they play Verona, Torino,
it's not
Lecce.
In the order. It's not in the right order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just saying random games.
I don't even see Lecce here.
But to that point, like they have Milan, they have Como. Everybody else is either in shit
Everybody
form
else is doable.
or they're at the bottom of the table. And even further to that, their last 3 games are Cremonese, Pisa, and Udinese. So you come down to 9 points at the end of the season. That's a huge 9 points that you expect to make. They're going to have everyone healthy. That's going to put them in a really good spot. I have a hard time seeing them not finish top 4. I really do.
That's why this league is beautiful, because they could finish and they also could fall out.
All right,
that's just
ready.
You know what team's not falling out,
the rest
though?
of the games quickly.
Well, yeah. Go ahead. I just got shit to say.
What team's not falling out? SAS?
Milan, even though the refs don't want us to win. The refs hate us.
All right. We're not there yet. But anyway, we'll be there in a second. Other games that happened. Verona at SAS, 3-0 SAS, Pinamonti goal and a Berardi brace. SAS are actually in 9th place now, which is sick because they're really good.
So
Verona. Is Verona going down?
Verona's going down. Yeah, Verona and Pisa
Verona
for
sucks.
sure. That third spot is up for grabs.
Who do you want to go down?
Lecce.
I think I want Lecce too. Yeah,
I fucking hate Lecce.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Lecce either. Inter went to Lecce, won that game 2-0. Goals from Hank, Mkhitaryan, and Akanji.
Terrible.
Actually, both of them off the bench.
And both of them off set pieces. Hank's goal was just terrible defending by Lecce. Inter should have had 5 in this one. They are just dominating teams. They are flying high.
Yeah, they are the best team. They're going to win, right, at this point? Is there any way they don't? They have a bad month. They do have a bad month coming up.
There's definitely a way. There is a way that they lose. They had Scudetto or treble in the palm of their hands last season. They lost everything, albeit it's different. They're a better team. But there is a way that they stumble because we've seen it before.
March into April, they have Milan, Atalanta, Fiorentina, Roma, Como.
And that doesn't include if they come back on Bodo Glimt and advance in the Champions League.
So, I mean, March is the do or die month for them, but they're setting themselves up very well to get this done. The other games, Lazio went to Sardinia. That was a 0-0 game. Genoa beat the shit out of Torino at home. Goals from 3-0 game. Goals from Norton Covey, Ekuban, and Junior Messias. Parma went to Milan. We want to stop and talk about this one a little bit. 1-0 game, Milan win. Goal from Troillo off of a corner, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. The Parma game, corner
Yeah.
set piece.
Looks, do you want to talk about this one a little bit? Because the broadcasts had a very specific way of looking at it, and they said that Parma played good, and I disagree with that. I don't think Parma played great, but they got the result. From a Milan perspective, though, anything you want to add?
Yeah, listen, I think this was a really tough game. This was a really bad game. I know it's only 1-0 on paper, and Parma's in 12th, but this was a really bad game, and I'll tell you why. It was frustrating to see how much possession we had in this game and how many passes we would link up to just do nothing. I said this in the group chat. We looked fake good, right? We looked great on the surface level to a normie, to a casual, but underneath it all, we just didn't do anything. The most dangerous that we were all day long was Davide Bartasaghi just laying peaches into the box and nobody getting on the end of it. There's got to be something being done on the practice field where you got to know where you can't just like send balls willy-nilly into the box. That's not going to work. You got to have a little bit of a feel, a little bit of a game plan if that's going to be the strategy, just to lay balls into the box. Now, we're not really built to be a crossing team, although at the end of the game when we're down 1-0, having Füllkrug and Pavlovic, dyslexia, sorry. Pavlovic in there is probably helpful. But in any case, like we were pummeling them with possession. Just couldn't get anything done, which goes back to how do we play against low block teams? We stink. We don't know what to do. We're like Juve.
This is the limit. This is the limitation of Allegri at the end of the day.
100%. And we've struggled like this all season. So unfortunately, that is our second loss of the season. First loss being against Cremonese. So is that a bad thing? No. Unfortunately, we've got 9 draws in the same token. We squandered a very easy opportunity to take it to a bottom half of the table team who had been this season at least struggling, except for the last 3 games under a very young manager, and we just couldn't get it done. Now, I'm not going to say we deserved 3 points, but we definitely deserved 1. And the fact that all season long, we've been getting gypped out of goals, out of calls, this way, that way. I'm pretty sure even in this game, Ruben Loftus-Cheek got his jaw fractured, and the foul was on him, on the goalie. I mean,
no, there was no foul. They headbutted each other.
All right. In any case,
they didn't call any foul.
No foul. We got a fractured jaw on the field. Ref doesn't see anything. A couple weeks ago against Sassuolo, we get a goal taken away for way less contact than what I saw in this game. And meanwhile, the play on Mignon was totally fine. So I know that the VAR check was partially on the Mignon contact.
That was
a perfect pick.
That was.
They didn't look at all at the contact on Bartasaghi
because it wasn't a foul.
Had both of his hands on Bartasaghi's neck, pushing him down into the ground and propelling himself in the air. I don't know over the back.
Watch it live.
Over the back.
Watch it live.
What do you mean watch it live? That's why we have VAR. They went to VAR. You don't need to watch it live.
Yeah, but that's why you don't. That's why you're not supposed to watch
thereafter.
That's why you're not supposed to watch
They called it off
VAR.
on the field. So they had to say it was clear and obvious at the VAR, which it wasn't.
I thought it was.
So we got gypped out of a point here. It's not the first time. The refs have been absolutely terrible. Don't forget that Modric got a yellow card because he went and spoke in somebody's face against Roma after he got tripped up. Like, that was bullshit too. It's been going like this all season. I sound like Motts from last season. We're getting absolutely railed by the refs. But all in all, a concerning performance, to be honest. Because again,
Motts, did you think it was a foul?
I did not think it was a foul.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay, y'all are just biased haters. That's why.
I don't think it was even close. Like, I don't even understand how this.
That happens. That's bang. Yeah. That happens all the time.
Somebody needs to bring up the visual. I need a visual for this.
Look, I know that Bartasaghi played left center back.
Yeah,
in this game,
he did.
The balls he was playing. I think. You've been screaming. You guys need a wing back. He's definitely played there sometimes. Can he be that guy on the left moving forward? He played great, I thought.
No, he has been he's been predominantly our left wing back. He played for the first time in a long time left center back in this game, and it was borderline Bastoni-esque.
Yeah, he was exceptional in this game.
He was awesome. He could have gotten, if this was a 0-0 game, I think Bartasaghi takes player of the match. He's awesome. He's really good.
He's fucking nasty.
He had a weird start where like he was kind of just like a baby giraffe out there and like couldn't get his footing. He's fully in it now. He's fully comfortable. Yeah. He's borderline getting called up to the Italian national team.
Okay, that's not even remotely true.
I'm saying it here. He's borderline in contention. I'm not saying he's going for the World Cup.
Italian national team. He's in contention. Their left-footed center backs.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
He can play the wing back. He's better than Cambiasso is right now. That's for damn sure. And he's gonna get called up.
DeMarco is the left wing back.
I'm not saying that he's gonna start. I'm just saying he's gonna get called up potentially.
Bernasconi. Is also
Bartosagi's better than
Yogi.
Bernasconi right now.
not at wing back now.
Dude, this guy is a 6'4" lightning bolt with a left foot of grace. I mean,
Bernasconi is
he's
better.
awesome. So if you guys haven't watched him, because I know that he's just come onto the scene this year, you really do got to take note because he's really, really, really good. And I think that this game in particular, having Estupinian being able to take up the wing area so that Bartosagi could cut in a little bit of a different angle for playing those balls in, it was really nice to see. That was probably the only promising thing I'll take out of this game. Otherwise, I don't think Jashari looked that good coming off the bench for Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
He had a good shot. He had one good shot.
Then he also took one from 40 yards out that went, I think, out for a throw-in. And it was tough to watch. I mean, Pulisic and Leao weren't really playing well. Although
Leao had a
really
good opportunity. That was I don't know if it was post/save/post.
That was after he got moved out to the wing.
Well, what
too,
I was going to
think.
say is that full crew coming in changed the dynamic for Leao immensely. And the push from the fans, the push from the ultras, the push from a lot of people on Twitter to go 4-3-3 just keep screaming, and Allegri's not going to do it. But it just makes a ton of sense. I mean, if you think about having a target guy like Fulkrug up there with Leao and Pulisic left and right, I mean, that's something to be said. But we're never going to do it. It's unfortunate, but I think we need to get on
next
track.
Season. Allegri's not a big in-season change guy, but maybe potentially next season it could happen. But this is what I want to say, Logs.
Tell me, Motts.
This game reminded me a lot of a Juventus game that they just played a couple of weeks ago, and it was a game against Cagliari. On another day, Milan wins this game 2-0, 1-0. They get out of there. They had 25 total shots. They created good opportunities. It just wasn't their day. And I don't think
they created a lot of good opportunities.
It was just a lot of opportunities, period.
I think
Leao had the crazy volley in that.
Leao had the volley. I thought, yes, you didn't have the center strikers in for the crosses, but Bartosagi played in a ton of dangerous balls. Pulisic had a good opportunity that he didn't put in the best spot. He kind of shot it right at the goalie. But on another day, he puts that in the back of the net. Leao puts a goal in the back of the net. I think on another day, Milan win this game. They go home 3 points. I wouldn't be if it was me as a Milan fan, I'm pissed off about this performance. I'm pissed off that you guys lost. Like you said, you deserved a point. But I think you can take something from this game because in an Allegri style team, taking 25 shots is fucking unheard of. So at least we're you're going forward. You're trying to score.
I get that. But I mean, to your point, Mons, as much as I just glazed Bartosagi, and I don't know how this is particularly marked, but he had 10 crosses. 2 of them were considered accurate. I don't know if that means that one of us got on the end of the ball.
I think that means somebody gets on the end of it.
So then I guess that defeats the purpose of what I was going to say. But the opportunity set was just voluminous, but not quality. It was very apparent from the beginning of the second half on.
This is the same story that it's been all year, right? They're very good, but when they play not bad teams, lower level teams, they don't really have a way of unlocking the defense. Parma was in a extremely low block the entire game. We're very comfortable. And not to say, I thought Parma defended very well, but Milan didn't really challenge them in any way. And in every one of these games where they're facing a low block, the number one source that they're looking for is Luka Modric to play a perfect ball into the box with Leao or Pulisic making a diagonal run into the box. And that is so hard to do when the team just shrinks the field that much. We saw that time and time again. That's what they want to do. It's worked against other teams. It didn't work against Parma on this day. But this is why I said, next year, do you stick with Allegri? Because, the next rendition of this team is beating Parma. And I don't think Parma's very good. And I think to sit here and say that Parma played well is not the case. They defended well, but they did not deserve 3 points in this game by any means. And I think they're overachieving. They're in 12th place, and I don't think that's very much indicative of how they've played this year. I think they've kind of gotten lucky with these 3 in a row.
Definitely.
The other thing I will say about this team, there's a lot of good things, right? And I think Salamaker's just continuing to get better and better, and they almost need to get him in more attacking situations, especially in these kind of games. But this is just classic Allegri not changing what he wants to do. Right.
Yeah, we also need to stop.
Issue, it hasn't been addressed.
We need to stop debuting 4th jerseys mid-season. This is now 4 years in a row we debuted our 4th jersey, and we are now
right in the boat with Juve. And
we've got 1 out of 12 points on the 4th jersey.
These weren't as ugly as Juve, but
I hated them.
No, these were terrible
looking.
They looked
they were ugly.
They looked like wrapping
Juve's
paper.
were fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
Juve's
were really bad.
Really bad. These looked really bad too. One thing I will say, we've gone away from this, I think, over the course of the season, but just to give Parma some flowers here, Bernabe and Keita, really,
Mandela Keita had another great game.
really, really good guys. I mean, these two midfielders on Parma, who, aside from Pellegrino, have been the only bright spot, I would say, for this Parma team.
Although I thought
season.
Strefezza was really good.
Strefezza was good, but he's only come on since he came over from Olympiacos in the January window. But I do want to say, I mean, I've been on Bernabe since the beginning of the season. He's a quality guy, just super, super composed in that midfield and very progressive when he wants to be. And Keita, I mean, I think Keita leads the league in tackles made, tackles completed. He's been really, really good as their 6. I'm not going to be surprised to see either or both of these guys leave in the summer.
Yeah, and then Valenti, I think, has been very good in the back line as well. He's kind of been good all year.
But that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
Quickly, moving it on, want to talk about it just a little bit. Cremonese went to Roma. Roma had probably one of their biggest wins of the year. 3-0 goals from Cristante, Indica, and Pizzilli. We haven't really talked about Roma in a while, guys, so I don't think we really need to get into what happened in this game because they just kind of turned it on in the second half. And
definitely a tale of two halves situation.
But I think there's a couple interesting things to be talked about here. Particularly the front line has changed a tremendous amount with Daniel Malen. And then in this one, we saw Brian Zaragoza come off or start this game. Where are we at with Roma? Do we think that this is sustainable? Like, do we think Daniel Malen is the guy? Because I personally don't, but I see he's extremely different from Dybala, Dovbyk, Ferguson, and it's clearly making a difference. Do I think he's the guy? Probably not. Is Zaragoza going to be the left wing when Sule is playing? Potentially. But just curious to get where you're at. Because now for Roma, last 5 games, loss, or tie, loss, win, tie, win. And putting in 3 goals for them, I would say is a pretty big achievement looking at this year in terms of like what we've seen from them. So where are we at?
I think to Motts' point earlier, I mean, momentum's a huge thing in this league, and this is definitely a momentum setter. This is a really great quality win, although it is only truly a second half performance. And the first game in, I think, 3 or 4 where Daniel Malen hasn't scored for them, right? So they got it from other sources this game, which was another positive. But that front line is a huge change. I don't think it can be understated. You look at Brian Zaragoza, came in from, I think he was on loan in La Liga from Bayern Munich. They canceled that loan, let him come to Roma. He's been immensely helpful on that right side, even though that he's traditionally a left winger. So it'll be interesting to see if they do play him off the left when Sule is back in the lineup. Daniel Malen has been insane for
electric.
them.
Yeah,
absolutely insane for them. And traditionally, a winger has been able to play up the middle, mostly as a second striker. It's been interesting to see him as that lone 9 in this system. But one thing to note is he's averaging 5 shots on target a game. On target, not 5 shots. 5 shots on target. And for an elite strike, not even an elite striker, but a generically good 9 across the top 5 leagues, if you get 5 shots on target, you're going to make one of those. And so the volume of quality shots that he's getting points to the fact that maybe this Roma offense needs to flow through it. Maybe that was just the thing that they were missing. And they finally have a guy that's going to be potent, that's going to be venomous up top, where they didn't have it in Dovbyk, they didn't have it in Ferguson. They lost their confidence. This guy comes in out of the Prem off of Aston Villa and has all the confidence in the world, absolute lightning bolt for this lineup. And maybe that's all they needed. They just needed a point guy to take the reins, and Daniel Malen is happy to do it.
My biggest thing with Malen that I think I've noticed is he's actually, I don't think he's like the best technical player out there, but the difference between him and even Dybala when he's played there, including Dovbyk, Ferguson, he just works his fucking ass off the entire game and just runs hard. And because he does that, when he gets the ball, he drives at the defense, and nobody else does that in terms of being like the highest guy up the field that they have. And I think that's made a huge difference because even when he's not scoring, he's causing problems in a way that Dovbyk and Ferguson and Dybala weren't really doing from that central position. And because he's stretching teams and pushing the field, it then opens up opportunities below him. Because I thought Zaragoza was very good. I thought Pellegrini was actually pretty good. And Cristante's kind of been balling all year. Like, I got to say, at this point, like,
he's been good. He's been solid.
Cristante is the best midfielder on this team right now. And I think that's significant. So I think this is clearly the recipe that Gasperini needs to go with. Like, this is the archetype of player you need to use at your 9. I would like to see him continue to do that, especially going into next year. That's going to be a different discussion. But yeah, I mean, I think their best front 3 right now would be Sule, Malen, Zaragoza, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you're not even taking into consideration El Shaarawy, who has been playing decently well.
Yeah,
as of the last couple of months. And you forget that they brought in 2 guys that they've been using pretty often. I mean, Robinho Vaz has actually had decent stints in his 15 minutes that he puts in off the bench. and Vettorino has been good. So they made moves in the January window, both exits and new guys brought in additions, and I think that they set themselves up well. They let Gasparini make these decisions, so it falls on him if it doesn't work out. So there's no scapegoat for him to say I didn't pick these guys. And it seems like Gasparini put his money where his mouth is, and he's turned this team around a little bit. So I really do think that we were looking for a statement win. This isn't, Cremonese is not the best team, and they're currently, I think, in 16th, which is unfortunate because they had a really, really hot start to the season. But this was a good win. Cremonese is a good team. They've got quality players. They've been playing pretty poorly the last couple of weeks. But a 3-0 win in this style, I think, is something to be said. And I've been a huge Roma hater, and I would say this was a good win.
Also, it's off of the 2-2 tie against Napoli, where I do think Roma dominated that game. So I think they're building something there. But I agree to Logue's point. It's Gasparini picked Daniel Malin. Then I can understand why the success, because we've seen Gasparini identify guys. I know he'll be good in my attack. If he went out and got him in the winter, it's proving to work. One thing I'm going to add here, and it's not really anything in terms of where Roma's going, it's just something I've noticed, is Roma is very, very effective at the corner kick on the left-hand side. So normally Sule would take it. I think Pellegrini took it. The first one, I don't know who took the second one, but they are very good at hitting Cristante on the near post and having him either score or flick it on to somebody else and have them score. I think they scored twice like that in this game. And I know they've done it at least 2 or 3 other times this season. So I'm impressed by that. Cristante is being a good point man or a good target man on those corner kicks. And it's definitely, they are trying to do it, and it is paying off because they are converting it. So I'm impressed by that, because it's been one of their main source of goals is a set piece on the corner kick to hit Cristante. So that's what I've just noticed. I think Roma's building some momentum. We'll see what happens. As I thought they built some momentum earlier on in the season, and then it kind of went kaput. So we'll see what happens. But just something I noticed from Roma is
that is some niche analytics, Motts. That's
the other thing one other thing that I kind of noticed with them, and I don't know what the solution is or if they're going to change anything. And it's kind of been happening all year in this Gasparini system. The right center back plays almost like an attacking mid when they get the ball, and it's Mancini, and he's always just so far forward. And I just feel like if they had somebody that was a little bit better on the ball, it would be so deadly.
They should play Divine Wrench there.
Yeah, they should. I've been saying that, but I would identify that as a possible next year, bringing somebody in, because that position right now is really playing the way that Bastoni played under Inzaghi, where it's just go until somebody stops you. And I don't think Mancini's the best guy to be doing that. And I think it would add a lot to the team if they can get somebody else in there. I just don't think they have it right now. Nothing on Cremonese, right? They're just not that good. Overachieved.
Not that good. Bad. Borderline bad.
2 more games to round it out here. Pisa wins to Fiorentina. 1-0 win for Fiorentina. Squeaked it out. They did play pretty well. This 4-3-3 has been working. They're building a little bit of momentum. They're now in 16th place. 2 wins in a row. Goal in this one from Moise Kean. I think he started partially because Piccoli hasn't really gotten on the score sheet, and I think it's kind of deserved benching in a way. But the team's looking better. I think there's some players that are hitting their form, particularly in Beans, Nicola Fagioli. Monar Solomon, I think, has been really good, and then the back line has kind of gotten solidified. So they're moving in the right direction. Right now, they're tied for 18th place, so not safe by any means, and I'm not ready to say that this team's back or is going to win a couple games in a row, but that's my quick take there. Pisa's going down, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
Will this team ever be back? I don't think we can ever say Fiorentina is back.
Not this season.
With what, 12 games left? I think the best they finish is 10th, and that would be
points.
maybe no. I would say yeah, they could get to 10th.
I don't think it matters
or
as long as they don't get. As long as they don't.
They won't get relegated. There's no chance to get relegated.
There was for a while.
They're in the relegation zone right now.
No chance.
I don't know. I mean, they're trending better. They just came off a win against Como. They're still riding high in the Conference League. Got an incredibly necessary win against Pisa here. The salvage job out of Vanoli is in the works.
I'm confident if they get relegated, some paisan that's a Fiorentina fan, message me. If they get relegated, I'll buy you the jersey of your choice, authentic, because they're not going to get relegated. That's how confident I am. I'm willing to put that. I'll buy a paisan Fiorentina fan a authentic jersey of their choice if they get relegated, but they're not. So if you are a paisan and you like Fiorentina, reach out.
Boy, Motts. Money where his mouth is.
Last game today that happened today actually was Udinese at Bologna, 1-0 win for Bologna on a PK from Bernardeschi. This was a fucking rock fight. Nobody deserved to win. I'm sad that Bologna won. Both these teams are not very good. Udinese wants to be in a rock fight every game. I don't think
Udinese is so bad to watch.
Yeah, they're bad
So
to watch.
bad.
I hate watching them. It's very boring in my opinion. I agree. And then on Bologna, they're not good. They're not good.
I don't know why. Their lineup is actually solid. Like on paper, they're like
No,
not half
they
bad.
have good players, and that's
they're
why I
just
think a lot of
bad.
this has to be Italiano. I mean, nothing's gotten better. They don't really have a style of play anymore. It's kind of shooting from the hip, not really defending well, not really attacking well. I don't know where they go from here, really. It's getting to the point where I could see them moving on from Italiano, which is kind of sad given what happened last year. But realistically, where this team is expected to be at, this is unacceptable, right? They're 1 point ahead of Sassuolo, and when you look at this, they should be way better than that.
I mean, they're 2 points ahead of Lazio, and Lazio are dog shit. It is really bad. They probably should move on from Italiano.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be crazy. I don't know who you'd appoint.
I
I mean,
don't
at the
know.
end of the day, you could look at this, and this is Italiano's ceiling. You could say obviously they
Yeah,
should
that's
be
true,
doing
Motts.
better, but
That's
his
true.
ceiling has always been 7th place. He overachieved last year, but I still think they finished in like 7th place. Or
Crazy thing. Bring back Thiago Motta.
We'll
Not
see.
a bad shout. Not a
I don't
bad
hate
shout.
it.
I will say this: if Bologna move on from Italiano, some teams should get him. Like maybe Lazio, he could do well there. But maybe if someone snags Fabregas up, he could be. We're going down a big what if, so I'll stop. But Italiano, good coach, will do good somewhere else. I could see them keeping him because he is good and he did so well last time. It's like, hey, let's not move on right away. I could also see, depending on how they finish, them moving on. We'll see what happens.
I have an interesting name for you.
DDR might also be in the mix.
Pippo Inzaghi.
He's allergic to
He's
Serie A.
Yeah, he's just the promotion king.
That's it for Matchweek26. We do have Colby, though.
Luna.
Lugs, you want to bring us through here?
Colby's
We're going
back.
long.
Colby's back. Went 2 for 3 last week. Obviously, Motts had to fuck us all. Thank you, Motts. But Colby is back. You know what the deal is. Bet all the legs. Bet the Colby, win some money. This week, plus 900. Getting a little juicy this week. Motts has Milan Cremonese under 2.5. That's at minus 115. Vos is getting a little ballsy this week. He's got Napoli minus 1.5. That's going to be plus 160. Napoli's playing who?
I think they're playing Lecce.
Lecce's really bad, so that makes a lot of sense.
And Verona.
Who's even worse?
Verona's even worse, so makes even more sense. And then I've got Como minus 1.5 plus 115. I think that they get a nice little 3 points here and get the ball rolling again as they try to get into the top 4. But with that, Colby de Luna this week plus 904. You bet $100, you're getting $1,004 back. That may put you close enough to the green to say you're in the green, even though you're in the red for the season. But Paisans, thank you so much. It's been a great episode. You know where to find us on all the socials: X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Calcio Culture FC. And of course, everywhere where you're listening, not live, listening to
Not
recording
live.
on Spotify and Apple Pods. Thank you, Paisans. Always a pleasure. Motts, take us away.
Paisans, do not be a gagoot, and Forza Calcio Culture.